Just checking out the engineering Earth, the future of humanity, which, let's be honest, the future of humanity is going to be idiocracy, not engineering Earth. But yeah, idiocracy is the future of humanity. But it's always nice to perceive the possible futures. Halo rings to wrap around the planet. I mean, I like the idea of something like they are called satellites. Like even like an asteroid belt around a planet that links like that is called a satellite. That is a nice concept because as long as it's spinning, like the reason why the Halo in the games works is because the Halo rings are constantly spinning. You could design things like that. But honestly, idiocracy is the future of mankind. At the rate we're going, it is the future of mankind, at least the West. Absolutely the West. Hopefully other areas can curb that kind of nonsense and focus on the engineering marvels, focus on the wonders of the universe, focus on creating a better future for mankind, because it's not going to be in the West where that stuff is discovered. Let's just be honest. The lithosphere.
In 1815, a mysterious veil of dust began to spread over the Earth. The culprit was a remote East Asian volcano, Mount Tambora. It was the largest eruption in modern history, spewing out 80 cubic kilometers of debris and taking up to 100,000 lives. But even this was just a fraction of what Earth is capable of. Supervolcanoes, like the ancient eruption of Mount Toba in Indonesia, can unleash 50 times the power and 30 times the amount of debris. An eruption of this scale today would be catastrophic, potentially claiming
Well, billion lives, exactly, with how big the population has gotten. Before, I mean, any sort of massive kind of casualties is always bad. But the fact that something can erupt from the Earth at any moment, I mean, yes, we have better geological trackers to know where things, I mean, they know what kind of earthquake's gonna hit normally before it hits. Sometimes is it a Richter scale? I think it's the Richter scale is off by a point or two, or yeah, but that still is massive when an earthquake hits. But knowing that something's going to happen is, well, what is it? Knowledge is half the battle, and we would be able to plan for that kind of thing. But something as earth-ending as the smoke going into the air, the Earth basically self-imploding. Planning for that kind of future, having plans in advance. I mean, I guess that's why we need Greenland. We need that bunker. We need that bunker.
up to 1 billion lives. There are about 20 active supervolcanoes on Earth today.
Sheesh.
Sleeping beasts that present an even greater threat than asteroid strikes. Instead of waiting for them to explode, what if we could steal their energy and use it for ourselves?
Well, we do
One
that.
NASA engineer has a proposal for exactly that. The idea is to drill a series of boreholes several kilometers deep around the outside of the magma chamber.
Hello,
Cold
hello.
water would then be injected down into the rock, become superheated, then get pumped back to the surface to carry the heat away, gradually cooling the magma. The location of the boreholes will be critical. Drilling too close to the chamber itself would risk triggering an accidental
Yeah, it'd make it
eruption.
erupt. Yeah, I thought we already did some of this where you use the energy of a volcano. What is it? There's a term for it where you take the energy of a volcano and utilize it, because I know hydropower is like dams and using water. Wind turbines are primarily like the windmills that are put up to gather the power of wind. There is something, a name for it, for using the, well, lava, I guess, or volcano as a power source. I don't remember off the top of my head.
But if done right, the superheated water removed from below would provide a continuous source.
You look somewhat like Travis Kelce. Who's that? Taylor Swift's boyfriend? I don't know. I don't know. I think it's the beard. I think it's the beard.
Of renewable energy.
Geothermal energy. Thank you. Thank you. I was like, I know it's there somewhere. I know it's there somewhere. I just couldn't think of it. But yeah, geothermal energy. That is using the power of volcanoes. I mean, or yeah, like not magma, but like the power of volcanoes, using the heat as an energy source.
And over tens of thousands of years, the energy removed may eventually be enough to cool the chamber completely.
Hello, hello, cool.
To fully protect civilization, we will have to neutralize not just every existing supervolcano, but all future ones.
True.
Magma plumes from Earth's mantle are continually bubbling to the surface. These plumes will continue to trigger
The one thing is like it's the again, I'm no scientist. I'm no scientist, but all the volcanoes, all that energy basically comes from the core. Is it not gonna deplete to the core, or is that, well, that would be, I guess, billions of years down the road if we use that geothermal energy to the point, well, probably billions, tens to hundreds of billions of years down the road with how much, but would it cool down the planet? I mean, I have no clue. Again, I'm no scientist. I have no clue of how that actually works, but it seems like everything, like just like oil, it's one of those resources that we, as soon as we use it all up, we can't really get more of it. I mean, that's the huge argument for it. Geothermal is a little different than how hot gas, steam, I guess. I don't know for sure. Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I know roughly how a lot of these like the wind turbines, the hydropower, all that stuff operates, even nuclear energy, creating nuclear fusion and how that creates energy. But at the same time, there's always a cost to everything. There's always a cost.
volcanic eruptions as often as every 50,000 years. Learning to harness these forces could mean the difference between catastrophic collapse and the long-term survival of humanity. But it's not just supervolcanoes we will have to manage. From the lithosphere to the atmosphere, each of Earth's layers are prone to shocks that can threaten civilization and life itself. Our job is to protect and manage these layers with the power of technology, to build a safer, more livable planet where life and humans can thrive together for millions of years.
I think the key word there was life and humans. Because if we end up outliving most of the plants, we're going to lose our oxygen.
And creating a safer planet starts with creating a safer climate. In 1991, the eruption of Mount Pinatubo ejected 20 million tons of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere, reflecting sunlight around the world and causing global temperatures to fall up to half a degree Celsius for nearly 2 years. The cooler temperatures even slowed the pace of sea level rise for the next decade. With global temperatures and climate catastrophes on the
Yeah, I think this is actually when they started talking about because my mother always told me stories about how before they started talking about global warming, they were talking about the global freezing. And then shortly after, I think this incident, it started to change to global warming, I think a few years after. And then it turned into climate change after that because the climate constantly changes. It's always ever fluctuating, ever moving, sometimes better for humans, sometimes worse for humans. It's always in a constant motion.
This event inspired a bold idea.
The energy in Earth's core is unimaginably high, like 1.7 times 10 over 31 joule. Okay, now you're already going way above my brain power. If my wife was here, she'd probably be able to explain it to me. But so that's a lot of energy, which is almost impossible to harness, at least for the next millions of years. Yeah, that sounds like a billion, whatever. It would be so far down the road. But then again, just like the oil, we can't use the oil because then our kids won't have an energy source. That kind of argument, because it's like, at what point do you use up all the fossil fuels? At what point do you use up all the possible energies on the planet Earth? I mean, it just, there's always something else, and there are always brighter minds who, like, what is it? Innovation breeds innovation, and necessity, innovation, and laziness, I think, are the three things that breed innovation. Because necessity, you need it to happen. Laziness is because you're so bored you don't want to do the job anymore that you create something to do it for you. And then just wanting to push progressive. There's like those are like the three things that push innovation entirely.
Artificial volcanic eruptions. Like putting sunscreen on the Earth, spraying sulfur dioxide high in the stratosphere would reflect sunlight and temporarily cool the planet. A single ounce of sulfur dioxide in the stratosphere can offset the warming effects of several tons of carbon dioxide for a year. Dusting the sky would have an immediate effect, buying us time to decarbonize the global economy. But there's a catch. The exact effects may be unpredictable and uneven. Weather patterns could become erratic and threaten food supplies. With so much at stake, the fight for control over Earth's climate could even escalate into armed conflict. A team at MIT has developed a concept for a giant solar shield out in space, thousands of kilometers across. Placed where the gravity...
They are designing it or designed it? Whatever
gravitational
works.
pull from the sun and Earth balance out, it could reduce sunlight by 1.8%, just enough to bring temperatures down to pre-industrial levels.
So that would basically put in like sunglasses on over the globe. Sunglasses over the globe. I guess that makes sense.
The shield would be made of silicon bubbles, inflating out in space to ease their transport, and deflating if the solution needed to be reversed. To block enough sun, this solar shield would have to be absolutely massive, about the size of Brazil.
One massive sunglass it's like someone who's basically wore sunglasses and then one of them popped out. It's funny. We need that for the Earth. We need that for the Earth.
Others have proposed systems of space mirrors to precisely redirect sunlight, which could be used to increase solar radiation if temperatures drop too low in the future.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is like predicting out in the future. But the fact that, again, this is what we need. We need minds that plan for the future. Because, again, if we don't want idiocracy to be our future, we need people to innovate and plan and know what is needed for the betterment of mankind. Not just each nation, but mankind. Because, again, I'm someone who believes like everyone should be prideful in like where they live. They should always feel happy in where they live. They should feel like the strength of where they live. But in the end, we also need those thinkers who think above that and about the world as a whole. like everyone deserves a fair bill. There are always those people that should be above the petty squabbles of nations. And that's always nice. It's always nice. I mean, I will never be that type of person. I'm just gonna be honest. I'll never be that type of person. I just don't have the brain for it. I don't have the brain for it.
Large-scale ecosystem engineering can go a long way in securing the stability of Earth's systems. In 2007, the United Nations launched the Great Green Wall Initiative, a huge effort to plant a 5,000-mile belt of trees across the entire African continent. This vast new forest will not only suck up 250 million tons of carbon, but also combat desertification, increase food security, and create millions of jobs. Managing our
Well, where is it at now? Do we know? If humanity conquers Moon, Mars, ocean we will literally be invincible. Sorry, inside solar system. But leftists will say no to Martian resources. Yeah, blah 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 blah. Yeah, there's again, there's always like even like in science fiction and things like that, because I enjoy science fiction, I enjoy fantasy, I enjoy that. There's always groups of people that believe when the Earth dies, the humans should die with it. It's our fault. We ruined the Earth. We don't deserve to live beyond the Earth's lifespan, or you know, that kind of nonsense. There will always be people that believe that sort of nonsense. They don't believe in like the betterment of mankind. They don't believe in, they feel like we had our shot, we lost it. Not the fact that we're pushing to do more. It's the we had our chance and we lost it. I mean, there will always be those people. Always.
Planet effectively will require forging deep alliances with the biosphere. That includes preservation of natural carbon sinks like the Amazon rainforest, which are a critical ecological counterweight to human activity. But in some cases, that may also mean bioengineering new forms of life itself. By tweaking the machinery of photosynthesis, scientists have recently created plants that grow up to 40% larger than their natural counterparts, hinting at a future of radically enriched crops and plant life.
Turning it into an alien planet. I mean, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. I mean, the problem with introducing new kind of forms of life, you end up getting, well, new forms of diseases, new forms of problems. Like the killer bee, for instance, that was manufactured in a lab, and those things are deadly, absolutely deadly. I did see a good One Piece AI video. Yeah. Send it. We will be conquerors the vacuum, i.e. the space in the future. Yeah, eventually. The goal is to basically push on far beyond, land on different planets. I mean, the one thing right now that would be the biggest hindrance is space travel is, well, it takes way too long. Way too long. But yeah, I mean, that is like the future goal that some people perceive, and that's why I always enjoy like the science fiction type of stories. It's like they go above and beyond and way past. Earth is flat. Yes, absolutely. It's always been flat. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. When you look up in the sky, it's nothing but a hologram. Don't go too close to Antarctica. There's obviously a wall down that way. You can't go there for that reason. That's why they have military bases in Antarctica, to protect people from going too close to that ice wall.
They have also begun to engineer algae that convert sunlight into clean-burning hydrogen fuel, and microbes that have been reprogrammed to generate electricity from mud and wastewater. But most dramatically, we are now on the path to creating a hybrid woolly mammoth by tweaking the genes of Asian elephants.
Hybrid woolly mammoth. I mean, what would that do? Again, so it's like the whole Jurassic Park thing. If you can bring back an extinct species and bring it to life, that kind of thing. I mean, it's always fascinating. It's always interesting, but does it benefit mankind as of right now. Well, bringing back a hybrid woolly mammoth, is that for food? I mean, so what is it?
These creatures could be reintroduced to the Arctic, where they would help keep the permafrost frozen and prevent billions of tons of CO2 from leaking into the air.
I guess that explains it.
Genetic engineering could become our most potent tool for managing the planet, maintaining ecological balance and making the biosphere more diverse and resilient.
You know some of the stuff good. You are on the right path. Watch the videos of Flat Earth Dave. Yeah. I worked with someone who was all into the Flat Earth, and I always found him fascinating to listen to. Just like, you know what? It's crazy to think that some of that stuff, because it always gets you thinking, like, maybe, but... yeah, then you actually see the curvature of the Earth, things like that. But yeah.
The wonders of the future may not be built with concrete or circuits, but with cells.
Unless all the politics stops and humans unite as one, I don't think we can conquer the Earth or any of it. I don't think it's going to be about conquering the Earth. I think eventually it's going to be who can conquer the stars first. Because the first to lay claim of like a planet and build like a station on Mars or something, they're going to basically have, well, the most land in out of any nation at that point.
These are mechanical trees.
What
They
the
mimic the
heck?
real thing by soaking up carbon onto special plates that act like leaves. Once captured, the carbon can be buried or recycled, and the cycle repeats.
Okay, so I guess we don't need trees anymore. This solves the problem.
A single one of these machines can sequester as much carbon as 1,000 living trees. Vast forests of artificial trees could be deployed in inhospitable regions. And with 100 million of them, we could offset our entire carbon emissions. Excess carbon dioxide in the oceans is weakening food chains by causing the water to become more acidic. Pulverizing a part of barren seabed would allow rock particles to soak up the excess CO2 and restore balance to the waters. A single nuclear bomb placed 5 kilometers beneath the seabed could shatter enough rock to sequester 30 years of carbon emissions.
What? I mean, I've heard of like using, like launching nukes to Mars to build an atmosphere on Mars, because what it is basically you're creating a radioactive atmosphere, but it would create an atmosphere so that life could start. But launching one in the oceans, like deep in the oceans, it just seems crazy.
The bomb would have to be massive, potentially over 1,000 times more powerful than Tsar Bomba, the largest nuclear bomb ever dropped. But the deep sea water pressure would contain the blast and minimize fallout.
Possibly.
The best location could be the remote Kerguelen Plateau, where the seafloor is mostly barren and rich in basalt rock.
Yeah, we've only discovered 0.1% of the ocean. Yeah, it's like the greatest unknown that we have. Ocean is absolutely terrifying. I mean, we're going to end up blasting a nuke in the water, and then we're going to come across the hollow Earth theory that people have.
This is geoengineering at its most extreme and most dangerous. But preserving the oceans and millions of human lives makes even the most extreme ideas worth considering. For a safer way to manage the seas, we don't have to go far from shore. Artificial reefs, built from sunken ships and man-made materials, can become bustling marine cities, with some studies showing fish abundance increasing up to 20 times compared to bare seabed. Widespread artificial reefs could boost the ocean's natural carbon drawdown by offering habitats for trillions of corals, shellfish, and seaweeds that capture carbon during their growth.
Yeah, so just sink a lot of ships.
On a massive scale, these reefs could offer powerful natural defenses, reducing erosion and storm surges by absorbing wave energy. But managing our planet's hydrosphere is about more than protecting.
We don't have any technology to even travel through high pressure in ocean. Yeah, true, absolutely. How the hell will we break through fourth dimension to conquer yeah, exactly. All this stuff is basically, again, the most likely outcome is idiocracy, not the future that would be idealized.
Our oceans. It means preserving the glaciers and ice sheets that cool the world and hold back rising seas. This is the Thwaites Glacier in Antarctica, a massive ice sheet that spans 75 miles. Rising ocean temperatures are causing warm oceanic currents to wind their way underneath the glacier, causing it to crack and destabilize. If it collapses into the sea, it could trigger up to 10 feet of sea level rise, flooding coastal cities around the world. To avert disaster, a geoengineer at the University of Lapland has a bold plan. The idea is to construct a massive 100-kilometer-long underwater curtain around the glacier, designed to block warm ocean currents from reaching the underside of the ice. This vast undersea barrier would be engineered to withstand collisions with icebergs and could be removable if problems arise. At the opposite pole of the...
That just seems absolutely insane. I mean, yeah, theoretically that would be possible, but at the same time, the scale of that. I mean, I can't even wrap my head around like China building its wall around its land. I mean, that alone is already like far past my how do you and they're planning on doing that for a massive scale. It's just like, again, theoretically possible, but at the same time, it's just insane.
Planet. Ambitious proposals are being made to stop the loss of Arctic sea ice. Vast fleets of wind-powered pumps could draw seawater to the surface during the winter and spray it over the Arctic surface, where it would rapidly freeze in the frigid air. An American architect has recently designed a polar umbrella, which would float in Arctic seas using solar power to harvest seawater and create new ice. Deployed in the fastest melting regions, these umbrellas would cast a cooling shade that would lower surface temperatures and rejuvenate the Arctic ice.
She basically looks like a flower.
But most of these grand solutions have a common problem. They each require enormous amounts of resources and energy. Where do we get the power and materials? And how will the insatiable demand for energy shape Earth's future?
We would need a breakthrough in material science for that. We'd need a breakthrough in everything for most of this, because again, like the idea people can theoretically design and plan and get all the mathematics of how things will work, but it's just, how would you get around to building the prototypes? How would you get around to mass producing things that need to be done? Because sometimes, like solar energy was designed like 100 years ago. I'm not entirely sure. It was like 50 years ago, probably, if I'm being honest. It was like a long time ago, yet it never really gained traction. Because I remember it's like it was at like the World's Fair back when we were having World's Fairs, and someone had introduced like solar power, and it went nowhere. But over time, eventually it gets streamlined. Eventually, it becomes easier to create, easier to harness, easier to that you can actually start doing more. But sometimes it's just someone creates an idea and it takes years to get to actual fruition.
For the last 2 centuries, our energy use has been growing exponentially, surging over 7,000% and fueling a 100-fold increase in global economic output.
Yeah, I think it was around 1950.
Continuing this level of growth will eventually require generating hundreds of trillions of additional watt-hours every single day. But thanks to revolutions in solar power efficiency, covering just 0.3% of the Earth's surface in solar panels would be enough to power all of civilization.
I mean, the ocean would be prime real estate to lay down like just a ton of, I mean, because, well, the water does need to get hit by the sun, but I guess there would be enough gaps for it to still hit the water, so it's not going to damage the ecosystem that much. And again, if you're having it all be on a bed that's in the water, fish would make the whole thing into a reef.
Frontier of our solar-powered future will be one of the least livable regions of the planet, the deserts. Deserts provide ideal conditions for solar power with their vast flat landscapes, abundant silicon, and constant sunlight. There are now proposals for massive-scale solar farms in the Sahara, capable of generating 4 times our current global energy usage.
I mean, the downside of the solar farms is things flying over it. It basically can cook a bird. It can cook a bird because it gets so hot.
But covering over 20% of this desert could have dramatic side effects. The increased heat absorbed by the dark solar panels could disrupt global weather patterns and cause a spike in temperatures, especially at the poles.
Like I said, because it just generates heat and it creates heat. Yeah, well, because I've known of like birds dying through like a few of those solar farms. But yeah, I mean, if it's creating that much heat and you're creating that much of a grand scale, it's going to affect it.
No matter how or where we get our energy, producing too much on planet will eventually be deadly. If our consumption grows at just 2% per year, we will use up all the energy available to Earth in as little as a few hundred years. But the real problem is that the waste heat from energy production at this scale would heat the Earth by over 20 degrees Celsius, which would make large parts of the planet uninhabitable. This will be the defining challenge of the coming millennia. How do we balance continuous energy growth with a safe, stable planet?
Yeah, then how about placing them above the planet where sunlight is deflected? Yeah. I guess that's the option. Like, I always had like, there's the concept of a space station that, like a satellite that's around the Earth that just harnesses sunlight continuously. Massive amounts of satellites that just harness sunlight. A space station that basically absorbs it all, and that it gets, well, beamed, I guess, onto the Earth. Or you just have a ship constantly going up and down, up and down, up and down, supplying fuel lines, energy sources.
By placing large-scale solar power arrays in space, we could capture uninterrupted sunlight
and it is getting
24
beamed.
hours a day, then beam the power down as lasers or radio waves.
So, yeah. I was like, how would it beam? How would they beam it? I was like, I don't think a laser would work. The heat was the problem. But it's like, I guess heat is fine. I mean, we are going to lose some power if this is the case, as it's being beamed through the atmosphere. But in the end, as long as you're getting something without risking planet, it'd be ideal.
Orbital power systems would shed their excess heat into the cold expanse of space, instead of heating up our atmosphere. China is now planning a 1-kilometer wide solar array with the long-term goal of beaming gigawatt levels of clean electricity down from orbit. And a team from Oxford is planning an even bigger station, 1.7 kilometers across, called Cassiopeia, designed to be built in orbit. But But collecting the power in space and beaming it down still has its own waste heat problems, as energy is still being added to the Earth's system. The solution is to move our power-hungry industries entirely into space.
It's funny how the only real option for humans to continue advancing and continue moving forward is to get us off planet Earth. It's funny because every single thing, all our technological advances, all our pleasures, all like everything pushes more problems in the end. Like that's what it's saying. It's like pushes more problems on the Earth, more stress on the Earth. Maybe not now, maybe not in 100 years, maybe not in 1,000 years, but eventually it gets to that breaking point. And it's like eventually the best thing for it would be the majority of it all being done in space. And I mean, even like what is it? Not a solar farm, but a data farm. I think it's a data farm. That kind of stuff is absolutely would be perfect in space because those places overheat so quickly. Having that up in space, it just would be so much easier. Of course, that you would have more of a lag time, but in the end.
This way, the energy can be collected, spent, and radiated completely outside of Earth's fragile system. And to get all this material into space efficiently, we need something incredibly audacious.
Massive elevator.
Like a highway to the skies, a space elevator would open safe and easy passage to the
Yeah, that just seems so crazy because like the Earth is constantly spinning, and then at the same time you would have to deal with like the atmospheric pressure. But it does seem like ideal, but you would have to have like a massive. Well, I use my hands, but imagine the Earth being this size. You would need like a massive plate to hold up everything, and the Earth is like this big. Just to hold up a rod to go all the way through the atmosphere.
Next technological frontier, enabling the build-out of next-generation space infrastructure.
This is engineering Earth.
To build it, a cable over 36,000 kilometers long would be lowered from a counterweight out in space, then anchored to a port station on the equator. A space station could then be positioned at geostationary orbit, at the point where the gravitational and centrifugal forces balance out. Laser or nuclear-powered rail cars would ascend the cable, carrying multiple tons of cargo at a time, which could drive launch costs down to under $100 per kilogram, 50 times cheaper than today. This could accelerate the mass production of solar power arrays, orbital data centers, research stations, and spaceports, laying the foundation for a new orbital frontier. But building this beanstalk to the heavens would be a daunting engineering prospect.
And the resources.
Requiring tether materials far stronger than anything that exists today.
The gosh
Moving
dang
human industry into
resources.
space comes with its own major risks, especially space debris.
One thing can destroy the entire thing. Is your wife not with you today? No, she's not. She needed rest. She needed rest. We went a lot far longer yesterday than we were expecting to. But yeah, she's just getting rest.
Tiny pieces of scrap metal as small as a fleck of paint can tear through satellites and infrastructure, creating even more debris and causing a chain reaction of destruction known as the Kessler syndrome. To solve this, AI-guided laser systems could rapidly identify and deflect small debris.
For every
While larger
problem,
pieces could be safely captured
there's a
and deorbited.
solution.
If we can neutralize these risks, then a space elevator could be just the beginning of an even greater vision of our planet's future. This is the crown jewel of space infrastructure, the orbital ring. This superstructure could
Halo.
become the backbone of our future civilization, a hub for everything from energy and transportation to climate management and tourism. In its basic form, a simple ring of wire would orbit the Earth around 200 kilometers up, with a stationary platform magnetically levitated above the spinning ring.
Constantly create power.
It could be
But even if you're doing like the bare minimum, we don't have enough resources on planet Earth to actually build something like that. So it's like we would have to venture out into the stars and start bringing back metals and all kinds of different new materials to work with before we could even achieve something like that, unless we learn how to create something from nothing.
built as a free-floating structure or be tethered to the Earth at multiple points. Skyhooks and even hanging skyscrapers could dangle beneath the ring, serving as launch points, research hubs, or cities in the sky. Rotating the inner side independently would generate gravity through centrifugal force, making the area habitable and offering spectacular views. While no current technology can simulate gravity on the outer edge, it could still serve as a zone for microgravity industries and research habitats. An intricate network of rings could be built at different inclinations, offering rapid point-to-point travel almost anywhere on the planet. These layers could extend far outwards, even potentially networking with the moon. But the sheer size of orbital rings would pose their own dangers. A shadow the width of the ring itself would sweep over the Earth each day. For narrow rings, this would have little impact on ecosystems below. But wider rings, stretching over 1,500 kilometers, could cause major disruptions to the climate, blocking out the sun for an hour or more daily.
That'd be killer on like agriculture. Absolutely. We'd have to find new ways of like, well, again, if they do the fake trees, we wouldn't have to worry about oxygen as much because it just does it that way. But yeah, it would be killer for like farming.
Building one would be a towering engineering feat, as the ring would require tens of billions of tons of raw materials and constant active computer control to prevent collapse.
I mean, I guess they could change that by utilizing mirrors to kind of redirect the sun from the top to the bottom, so that way it doesn't completely block out the sun and have this massive shadow. It still beams down some light, but it would still be an issue.
To avoid impacting the Earth, the resources could be mined from asteroids. This may all seem like a far-off dream, but there are already proposals for prototype orbital rings that cost as little as $9 billion.
The $9 billion, I wonder if that's basically that orbital ring would be the size of like a piece of yarn, basically, just with some kind of strong tension wire that it can stay put and see if it would actually remain. $9 billion for probably something like that.
People and heavy cargo could be transported along.
People don't understand how much environmental damage already because of all the tech industry. Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's why it's like the only solution to technology, the issues that us consuming technologies and always kind of relying on technology, the only solution is having most of the factories and most of the manufacturing and most of that done out in the stars where it's cooler. So that way we don't affect the ozone, the atmosphere, the temperature on planet Earth.
Ring networks to anywhere on Earth in only a few hours. Vast orbital cities and arable land could circle the planet and serve as new human frontiers. And with energy and heavy industry woven into the ring, we could scale our growth without disturbing the planet, preserving Earth as a sanctuary for life.
We got our own ring. So it's going to be dug directly into the earth. Whew. Yeah. Yeah, it is funny because the Earth would become a ball of ice without the humans here to warm it up. It would become a ball of ice. That was good. I enjoyed that. It's fun to like see the possible. Again, I don't believe that's highly likely because the intellectual people are the first to go. It's going to be primarily the simpletons that tend to rule after the fact. But I did enjoy that. That was very nice to see. Very optimistic view of the future. And it's just like, what are the possible options? What are the things that can be done for betterment of mankind as a whole, betterment for the planet as a whole? Yeah, I do enjoy that kind of thing. That seems very interesting, and always something like that's always nice to watch, and always like you want something that's positive every now and then. You want something that's positive every now and then, because there are those whose job is to think beyond the simplistic politics of the nation. The simplistic politics of the nations, and that's good. It's good to have people who are far above that, who are far above that.
You guys got a video? So bad.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Wait on that.